Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. In the comments section of the video I made regarding Kanye West's completely embarrassing behavior at the White House when he went to visit President Trump, there were many Afro-American Negroes making excuses for Kanye West in the comments section. And many of these Afro-American Negroes were making those excuses because they were completely spellbound by Kanye West's celebrity status, and because they were spellbound by Kanye West's celebrity status, they looked for ways to excuse his behavior instead of hold him completely accountable for that minstrel show he put on at the White House. And one of the excuses many of these Afro-American Negroes made regarding Kanye West's behavior at the White House and the way he was dressed was to say that Kid Rock was visiting the White House at the same time, was dressed in a similar fashion to Kanye West. And this is another way of saying white people do it too. And again, that's an excuse that doesn't wash with me, because your Kanye West should have known better for himself, and your Kanye West should have also known that he was not only representing himself when he went to go visit President Trump, he was representing the entire black community when he went to visit President Trump at the White House at that press junket. And his representation of not only himself, represented the entire black community and set an image and a standard for what people should expect from black people in the black community. Because when you look at your Kanye West, who came to the White House to meet a president of the United States, the leader of the free world, and he's got on a pair of jeans, sneakers, and a hat in the White House, and one of these work shirts, he is an embarrassment to black people, because everyone else who wasn't your Kid Rock was coming to that White House in a suit, a tie, and they were showing respect for the office of the President of the United States. Because if Jim Brown, the legendary football player, could come to the White House dressed in a suit and tie and showing his respect for the White House, then why didn't Kanye West? Moreover, why didn't somebody pull Kanye West to the side and say to him that this is an important event that represents not only yourself, but represents the entire black community? Because if you're going here to the White House to represent the black community, you need to show that you are someone that President Trump can take seriously and is someone who can present a serious argument regarding our issues. And it's hard to take someone seriously when they come to the White House, the official seat of power for the entire United States, the executive offices of the executive branch of the United States, dressed like he's going to go hang out at somebody's house. That does not make him someone who appears to be someone that the president needs to take seriously. And that's a real serious issue, number one, I had with your Kanye West. The other issue I had with your Kanye West was the completely buffoonish and childish way he behaved at that press junket. With all of this media on the air, recording your visit with the President of the United States, you should have understood. Kanye West should have understood how important this was, because he was not only reflecting the image of black men to America, he was reflecting the image of black men to the entire world. And the way he behaved reflected incredibly negatively on all black men, because he acted like a complete child in every way he behaved, proving every white racist point ever since the antebellum South regarding black men being considered inferior and in some ways childish. Because when I saw a grown college-educated man sitting in the White House wearing his hat in the White House, that made me shake my head because, again, this was drilled into me ever since I was a small child. You never wear your hat inside the house. And even many of my teachers, again, it drilled that into me that you never wear a hat inside of the house. But here we have a grown, educated black man sitting inside of the White House with his hat on and, again, having no manners in that he's running around the desk hugging the President of the United States like he's his homie and putting his phone on the President's desk. Again, showing all sorts of disrespect and showing that he has no home training whatsoever. But many of these Negroes, especially the ones who come from single mother households, they give him an excuse because he said the right things that made them feel good. And the only reason why they are feeling is because they come from those single mother households. And in the single mother household, everything is about emotion and not about understanding the rules and unwritten social rules of engagement in social situations. As someone who worked in job readiness, I was taught the unwritten social rules regarding social situations, and the way your Kanye West behaved ran counter to everything I was taught at the Strive Job Readiness Workshop and everything I was taught by my mother, my father, and my older brother regarding how to behave in social situations. And again, that's what was so embarrassing about Kanye West, was seeing a grown man who had gone to college who clearly showed he had no home training. But the Negroes, they give him an excuse because they want that excuse for themselves. And that's part of the covert contract that many of these Negroes have. They think if we give Kanye West a pass, we'll get a pass for ourselves. But there is no pass. All you are doing by giving Kanye West a pass is reinforcing the idea in many racist minds that black people just do not know how to behave. They don't know how to carry themselves in social situations. And if given an opportunity to visit a head of state, a person of power like the President of the United States, all they're going to do is show you how much of a nigger they actually are. And that's what your Kanye West did when he went to visit the White House. So it did not really matter what he said because he sent a message with the way he behaved. Now, I know many of these Negroes, they want to say that, oh, Kanye West talked about jobs and talked about job training. Well, as someone who used to work in job readiness, we can tell you that it doesn't matter what you say. It is how you present yourself when you are saying it. As someone who worked in job readiness over 18 years ago, I can tell you that first impressions are very important. And Kanye West left a disastrous first impression on the president, and he left a disastrous first impression on the entire world. So he's sitting there talking about jobs and job training when he's acting like one of our participants in the Strive program when they come in for the group interaction. Because we've had people at Strive who used to come to the group interaction, and some of them would come in here with the sagging pants, some of them would come in with the sneakers, and some of them would come in with the shirts not fitting right. And they're sitting there talking about how they want a job. And this is the type of guy that Kanye West was acting like. Acting like, again, someone who no one in a professional setting would take seriously, yet he's sitting there talking about how black people need jobs. And he literally is destroying his own argument right in front of the whole world and with all the press in front of him. He's sitting there talking about black people needing jobs, but if you are the example of the best of black people, then you are showing that you are not job ready. And that's why I was really disgusted hearing him talk about jobs and job training and job issues as related to Chicago and the black community, because here we have a man who does not even know how to dress for a meeting with the President of the United States to talk about this issue, and he's proving every racist point that black people are incapable of being able to go out here and even dress for a basic job meeting or job interview by coming there with that ball cap on, those sneakers, and those sagging pants, and then also running around the president and acting like a complete clown. Because anyone who understands the issues as to employment, or someone who has worked in the job readiness field like I used to work in about 18 years ago, they understand that when you go meet with people to make presentations regarding an issue like job readiness or job training, you want to be on your best behavior, you want to be best dressed, and you want to leave a first impression on someone like the President of the United States, that you are someone who is serious about being a part of the solution. You have seriously solid ideas that will help solve the problem, and you want to lay a foundation in the things that you say and the way you present yourself. And I did not see that with Kanye West, and sadly many black people, because he was saying the things that made them feel good, could not see that it was his actions that showed that he was completely clueless on the issue and completely clueless as related to how he was leaving an impression on the president as related to the job issue. Now, if I were to have gone to go meet with the President of the United States to talk about the issue of jobs and job readiness, I would have come to that president in a suit, a tie, my best dressed shoes, and I would have come to him knowing my subject matter. And I would have, if the press was there, I would have made every effort to command the room by making eye contact with each reporter as they asked their questions, and then responding to their questions, explaining to them things based on my research and based on my years of experience working at Strive for that 1 year with AmeriCorps Vista, and everything that I have learned in the last 17 to 18 years regarding the changing job market. And I would have been talking to President Trump about many of the issues as related to the job market becoming more and more gynocentric. And I would have also talked about how men are leaving the workforce and how all of these men leaving the workforce would lead to some economic issues later on. Again, I would have had a fully focused argument to bring to the President of the United States, and I would have presented myself in a serious fashion and showed how my arguments were about helping the overall country and helping all Americans find full economic employment. As someone, again, who worked in job readiness, what I saw with Kanye West was a setback to all black people in all black communities, because if this guy, this celebrity, wants to represent our issues, then he needs to understand that when he goes out, he does not just represent himself, he represents all the black communities all across the country. And the way he behaved himself was inexcusable when you consider that he's going to talk about our issues and present himself as one of our leaders. Because if he's going to sit there and talk about our issues, then he needs to understand that there is a certain set of social rules that he needs to follow. And that's not what we saw with Kanye West. What we saw was a minstrel acting like a fool and providing entertainment for white racists and giving them a story that fits their narrative. When we saw Kanye West at that White House, he was breathing brand new life into old stereotypes about stupid black men, incompetent black men, and being a complete clown that entertained everyone. He said things that made you feel good, but he never showed any sort of semblance of intelligence. He never showed any sort of knowledge of his subject, because he's sitting there talking about stuff that I know not to be true, as someone who had, again, worked in job readiness, worked in employment, and understands the dysfunctional state of America's job market as being looking for work in it over the last 10 years. Someone who understands the issue. I can look at everything Kanye West said and say that he's full of crap, because he sat there and talked about job training. And again, I have been through job training. And again, you can go and get the job training, you can go get the certifications, but if you do not have experience, you still are not getting hired. And in today's gynocentric workforce, if they can find a female to do the work, they'll fire the female, because they are going to get tax breaks, they are going to tax credits. And again, I would be talking about these arguments, again, as part of my platform for investing in men, because as I see it, the real platform needs to be, as related to black men and jobs, we need to start talking about investing in men, because in America, only 7% of men today are looking actively for work, who are of the prime work age, and you can go look those facts up. And that's something that's going to be very detrimental to our American economy if we don't do anything about it in the future, because we have a workforce that is majority women. And again, your Kanye West isn't going to talk about this because he was too busy prancing and acting a fool at the White House to be someone knowledgeable about the issues of the black community. And he's sitting there talking about how we need jobs, when again, a lot of these Negroes in these communities are just not job ready, because a lot of them are emotional, like your Kanye West, and I saw that at the Strive program over 18 years ago. A lot of them do not know how to dress, even for a basic interview. A lot of them don't know how to dress for a basic workday. A lot of them don't know how to conduct themselves in a workplace, and I saw that at the Strive program. And that's what we used to do at the Strive program, is try to teach people the behaviors that were preventing them from finding employment. And we work with the worst individuals in the black community. We work with the single mothers, we work with the homeless, we work with the ex-offenders, we work with the absolute worst people. And the big problem we saw with many of those people, the same problem your Kanye West had, in that they had this attitude that they were the hot thing. They thought that their way was the only way, and they thought that the managers at these companies would just sit down and accommodate them. And many of those people wound up, again, time and time again, getting jobs and losing jobs, because as I listened to their stories, it was a vicious cycle. And it took the people at Strive, who again themselves had been in the same situation, to try to explain to those people why they were falling apart, why these attitudinal issues, these excuses they were making, like my kids are always sick, my baby mama, this, that, and the third, were costing them employment and employment opportunities and time to time. And all of this silliness that a lot of these people were getting into, these beefs and arguments and stuff, this was the stuff that was holding them back and preventing them from actualizing their potential. But we had Kanye West, a clown, representing us, and not someone like myself or Rob Carmona, the former CEO of Strive, coming to President Trump to address this issue. And that's, and again, another problem that we have, because we put celebrities on pedestals and make them into, our leaders, when these people cannot even lead themselves. I would have rather seen myself go to meet President Trump, or Rob Carmona from Strive go to meet President Trump to talk about job issues, because Strive had an office in Chicago, and Strive has been the leader as related to job readiness issues. But we had Kanye West coming there, and all Kanye West did was put on a show to entertain, and that didn't really help our community at all. So I listened to this whole thing was related to Kanye West, and I see people making excuses for Kanye West instead of holding him to a standard. And that's the other big problem with black folks. We never hold people to standard, because when white people are out there, they're on code, and when one of theirs acts out, they let them know they're acting out. So they're sitting there talking about, oh, Kid Rock, and it's like white people do it too, but you're not white people, and you're held to a completely different standard. And that's the big problem with many black people, is that they don't understand that you are held to a completely different standard. And because you are held to a completely different standard, the way you have to behave is completely different than a white person. And what's really sad about Kanye West is his wife, Kim Kardashian, understood the importance of meeting with a powerful man like Donald Trump. And even though we see her butt in every magazine or every Instagram post, that woman dressed up, put on a nice dress, conservative dress, heels, and made herself look presentable so that she could go meet with this president, because it wasn't about him being a celebrity. It was about showing respect for the office of the President of the United States, showing that she could take the office of the United States seriously, and showing that she was serious about being presented in a way that showed that she understood her subject matter and understood the importance of this once-in-a-lifetime meeting with the President of the United States. Because an opportunity to sit down and talk with a President of the United States is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And what's really sad about your Kanye West is that in his appearance with the President of the United States, he did not understand the importance of his appearance in front of this president for not only himself, but for all the black people he said he was saying he was representing. Now, I understand the importance of a visit with the President of the United States, and because I understand that, again, I'm not going to approach it in the same way that your Kanye West would, because the way he approached it, again, reflected badly on all black people, but sadly, there's a small contingent of black people who are completely spellbound by his celebrity to not understand how this man literally embarrassed the entire black community, and there is no excuse anyone can give for the completely embarrassing way he conducted himself in that White House and the completely embarrassing way he represented all black people. It was not about what your Kanye West said. It was about how he said it and how he presented himself while he was saying it. And that's what was the most embarrassing thing to watch, because when you look at your Kanye West, he was acting more like a minstrel and acting nothing like a man. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to learn the way a man conducts himself in social situations and business situations, you can pick up my new paperback and ebook, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam The Sands of Time. It's action and adventure in ancient Egypt in this terrific teen time travel romance. Get your copy of E-Steam The Sands of Time at your favorite online bookseller today.